All right. So good afternoon, good morning, whenever it is that you are watching this recorded webinar. I have two guests here joining me, and we're going to talk about family engagement today. But before we dive into that subject, we're going to start with some introductions. So those of you who I have not met, I am Nick Klein. I am one of the Open National Trainers as well as the Active Schools Manager. So kind of wear two hats within the organizations that support one of the events we're going to talk about related to family engagement towards the end of this webinar, which is Family PE Week. But before we get to that last topic, we're going to just talk about, in general, the importance of family engagement and how it looks in two of the different schools from the two guests that are here. So, Will, let's turn it over to you. Tell us who you are and something interesting about yourself.
Okay, I'm William Potter. I am an Open National Trainer. I am also, excuse me, I'm also the Shape America 2020 National Teacher of the Year, as well as a Capered Teacher of the Year. I just finished up my presidency at Capered, and fun fact about me is I love movies, and I love all things movies.
So those of us who can see that little image behind you that looks like there might be a couple, are those only books or just a couple of movies on that shelf?
Those are all books.
Okay, I was going to say
those are all
this much of the movies, if there were like 2 or 3 movies on that shelf of your vast collection.
Yeah, that's just movies. My DVDs, you need a lot more than a bookshelf, so I use dressers.
Yeah, awesome. And Christine, tell us something about yourself. Well, tell us first who you are and something about yourself.
Sure. So my name is Christine Drago. I'm also an Open National Trainer. I'm a physical education teacher at PS20 Anna Silver. It's an elementary school on the Lower East Side in New York City. Fun fact about me is I'm a huge Yankee fan, and I am patiently waiting for Aaron Judge to hit his 60-second home run, hoping it's happening any day.
You and all of the other Yankees fans, I think, we're just anticipating, and every time he gets walked, I think is more frustrating than when he strikes out or whatever, gets the single or something. It's like, stop walking him. Give him a pitch that he can hit.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're coming from coast to coast. So from California, as Will mentioned, all the way to New York. So wherever you are, in between that or from a different country, welcome to this recording. We're going to kick it off with the question, what does family engagement mean to you? Because we hear this a lot, and it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So let's have the guests kind of share, and Christine, we'll have you start first. What does it mean to you?
Family engagement means a couple of things to me. I think, first of all, it means getting to know and building relationships with your families, not just your students, but who's at home with them. And then you want to engage them by getting them involved in anything that you have going on in your class or your school building. So I love to have families come back to the school building and participate in events together because I'm teaching phys ed. It's usually something active and sports related, and I love to have them in the building, see the gymnasium, get to know what their kids are doing in PE, get to know other parents, and, just engage them in as much active activities as we can.
Yeah. And Will, how about you?
Yeah, I want to 100% piggyback on what Christina said about relationships. Family engagement is all about building relationships with the people inside your building, but also those outside the building that relate to the students inside. It's having those side conversations, about the child, but also having conversations that have nothing to do with it. It's, did you watch Game of Thrones last night? Did you did you go to a park over the weekend? What did you do that was both active and non-active? Because you want to relate to them on a personal level, not just a professional level.
And I like how you said that, because it definitely has to be a reciprocal relationship. It can't be come into my school to see me and your child doing this. It works both ways. I will go to the event that a lot of the students are in, the play, the soccer game, whatever event it is, so that parents are seeing you,
swim meets.
invested.
Yeah.
Go out to Yeah, both of you mentioned a few ways. What are some other specific ways that you engage with families other than the two that we just mentioned, like asking somebody to come in or going to an event? Well, let's start with you first.
Well, I've been using your Dean calendars, the drop everything and move calendars. I send those home as a voluntary activity. Parents have to do the activity with their child. I always say that, it can't just be you signing off that your child did it. I want you to participate and do it with your child or your loved one. And then that also builds, I think, a little community within the family of, oh, we have to do our PE homework. And it really encourages that idea of fitness being something that's universal, not just for kids, not just for adults, but for everyone. So I really love those. Some other things I've been doing are, just video newsletters, sending out information about the program, physical newsletters like paper newsletters, just as many different ways to communicate with parents as possible about what goes on in PE and how they can include that in their day-to-day lives.
And I've seen your digital newsletters, and they're amazing. And nothing wrong with the paper newsletter, which you said you also do, but to have that video, like for people to see actually rather than just read about it, I think is amazing. So those teachers who have that capability and time, definitely it takes that communication piece to a whole new level. Christine, how about you? Anything that to add to what Will said?
Yeah, what we're doing some similar things. I send home a newsletter as well, digitally. It's monthly. We also have family updates. If there's something that I need to add in there that goes from our principal, she'll add in little messages from teachers that go to all of our families. We have a PE bulletin board right outside our gym, a large one where like students' work is often displayed, and there's a smaller one that has upcoming activities and events for parents to sign up or be part of. And then, yeah, just like the events that we do is a big part of the engagement. We like to do a lot of events, and we sprinkle them throughout the school year so that parents are constantly coming in the school building, not, just once in the beginning. And then I have a PE website that parents can visit, and it's sent home to them in the beginning of the school year that I try to update throughout the year.
And I like the variety. So if people don't have email at home or don't come into the school building, like with that variety that you both mentioned, hopefully they get one of those pieces, one of those forms of communication, so that they aren't just left out because everything is done via email or everything is done via Facebook or whatever it might be. The other thing that I know is always important because of the support that they can provide is going to a PTO or PTA meeting, whatever it is that your school calls, because they often support the events that you have. So it's really nice to once again support a meeting or two during the school year, so that they know that you're there to help with their needs. Great. So the next question would be, now we know what it is, why do it? Why is it important? What are some things that you get out of it? Well, or Christine, let's go to you first for this question.
I think the why is because a couple of reasons. I want parents to come in and see what we're doing in PE, like get a feel for it and just understand what their children are participating in throughout the year. You're hoping that they do come home and they're excited about what they're learning and they're able to share it. But, you want the parents to come in and also see the importance of being active. After a few parents came to our active schools in the past, they were like, whoa, I forgot what it's like to actually move and like how I'm not moving as much as I should be. And this was like a reminder of how I have to get moving again. And that's always, something that you're happy to hear. And then it's like you were saying kind of about the PTA and other parents, it's great to form that positive relationship when you need help with events or you want to draw a large crowd. The better the relationship that you have with parents and the more you've engaged them and they've gotten to know you, you always have that support behind you, which makes your job easier.
Right. And Will?
I think to piggyback what Christine said again, you're you're the best advocate for your program. And if you can share what you do for PE, what you do for the community, what you do for your school, and you can get that to the parents as much as possible, now all of a sudden you're not fighting a battle by yourself. You have an army behind you to support you, to help your program, to advocate for you, to make sure that administration and stakeholders really understand that your program isn't just a nice thing to have, it's an essential piece of the day-to-day school life. And the more people you have that you can have those connections with and have those relationships with, the better off you are and the easier it does become to advocate for your PE program.
And I don't think we can say it enough. And I know a lot of the people who are watching or listening to this right now have many of you have already heard this, but not everyone had a positive experience. So we do have to advocate. So whether that's, once again, and I love how you use the term stakeholder, because this is not just about the families, meaning that the parents of the child or student that's in our class, but it's the uncles, aunts, grandparents, it's the administrators, it's the community people, because a lot more people, I know when I get a communication home from somebody in my school, like we send it on to the other people in my family so that my son's like grandparents and like aunts and uncles can see what he's doing. So it goes far beyond just the immediate family and the advocacy piece, because not everyone knows what quality physical education is. So the more opportunities we have to let others kind of share in this, the better it is for everybody. So here's kind of the tough thing. We know teachers' schedules are already full. Their plates are overflowing because they have so many things to do, not just during the school days, because their schedules are packed and they have so many students in their classes they're trying to support. But now we're suggesting that they do something more in addition to that. I think we have to give some advice. So what advice do you have, Will, starting with you, to a teacher who may not send home newsletters, may not have these community events? Where's a good place to get started?
So, you just take baby steps. You pick this year, I'm going to do one thing and I'm going to do it the best that I can. And maybe it's sending out a newsletter, maybe it's sending out an email blast, maybe it's building your website, whatever it is. I'm going to do one thing this year that's going to reach out to parents and inform parents or share with parents what I'm doing in my class. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be something very, very small. And then you just hone that really, really well. And then the next year you do that same thing again, if it worked, and then you add another thing to it. And maybe that thing doesn't work. And the following year, you go back to that one thing that really worked well, and you try something new. And now all of a sudden you have two things that work really, really well to communicate to parents and to get, a community involvement. And then the next year you add a third thing. You don't overload your plate like Thanksgiving dinner the very first time. You take a little bites, little pieces of things, one thing at a time. And then all of a sudden, 2, 3, 4 years down the line, you all of a sudden have this amazing outreach program that you can lean back on and you're comfortable with, because you've built up that tolerance. It's kind of like that the frog in the boiling water, right? You put them in the hot boiling water right away, they're going to freak out and never go back. But if you put them in the slow boiling water, the water that hasn't boiled yet, they don't realize how much has changed over that period of time. And so I think I guess really what I'm trying to say is just be patient and just take baby steps and do one little thing at a time.
Great. And Christine, can you share some advice?
I think that's perfectly said, Will. I would say I agree, start small and build and just be patient. And if you are worried about maybe being overwhelmed or nervous about your first event, You can always work in a team. So if you have another PE teacher with you, work together and try to plan it. Or, in my building, I'm the only PE teacher, but I'll work with the other specialty teachers. And, we do one event a year together. So I'll work with the art teacher and the music teacher and the science teacher, technology. We all come together and we plan an event. And that's a little less overwhelming because you have that support behind you and you have multiple ideas. And then when it comes time to the event, there's multiple people there to help run it. And that tends to be a little less overwhelming if you have a lot on your plate. And if it's your first time, it helps to have people there to get your feet wet with.
Two great pieces of advice. And then, like you said, reflect on the successes and the areas of improvement for whatever it is, and then build upon that and make those improvements for the following year. The culminating event to some people for family engagement would be Family PE Week, which is the first week of October. So every year, this event is sponsored or hosted by Active Schools and Open. And it's really just a way to do everything that we just said. And there's a variety of options. So everything from what this event started out to be, which was take your parent to PE Week, to take PE home to your families. So a lot of different options now. Now we just call it Family PE Week and really give teachers the freedom and flexibility to make this initiative anything that they want it to be. So Christine, what are your plans? Because I know that you said that you participated in the past and that you plan to this coming year as well.
So what we're going to do is they're going to go through a normal day of PE. So I have a do now where they do a running warm up with our Rising Stars to New York Roadrunners. So parents will come in with their kids. They're going to get in their floor spots, and then we'll get started with our do now. They'll run around the gym for a little bit. We'll stretch and make sure everybody's warm. And then I have a plan to do a couple different activities from Open Phys Ed. So we're going to be using scooters and bean bags, and they're going to work with their children to participate in these different activities. And I just plan to, get them up and moving, work together, and hopefully, more parents are there and they can meet other parents. And we'll end with like a student versus parent game to close out the day.
Awesome. I just want to highlight the Do Now event, and this doesn't have to be just Family PE Week activity. A lot of times PE teachers have students come in and just expect them to sit and wait through a long series of directions. And we know that PE oftentimes our students, it is the favorite special of many, many students, maybe most, we can even say. So to expect students to just come in and sit for an extended period of time waiting for directions is so hard. So whatever you call it, the instant activity, the warm up, the do now, get kids moving right away so that they can release some of that energy, excitement, enthusiasm that they come to you with, and then settle back in for the main event or whatever it is. And Will, I know that your schedule was different than most, and here's the thing that I will say. We kind of celebrate Family PE Week during the first week of October, but we give the freedom and flexibility to teachers to schedule whenever it is best for them. And you did just that. So you actually are wrapping up your Family PE Week. Tell us how it went.
It was phenomenal. It was incredible. I've been doing these for 12, 13, I think even 14 or 15 years now. I can't even think back to when I first started these. But this year especially, the response has been over the top positive. Parents have reached out via email to both me and administration just to talk about how great it was to be back on campus, to be back around the families and the community. And then also on top of that, to be participating and moving and learning at the same time. So all of those things have been like hugely gratifying as both a professional and just knowing that I can bring something to my school that can bring people together after the past 3 years of sort of collective trauma, so to speak. But one thing I will say is that it's very exhausting. You're at 100% every single class because you don't want to let any class down. You don't want you don't want to fall on your face. So typically when I do these, I try to pick the 3 or 4 things that I do really, really well. So, team building activities are always something that I've always been, I think, really adept at. Something I'm not great at, but that parents really love is dance. So I always include dance, and that has no equipment. Literally, you're just out there moving, and you can combine it with, the cardiovascular system, so that you can talk about how dance is a great cardiovascular workout. And then, just some sort of fun do now activity. One of my favorites for this week is the Say Cheese tag from Open Phys Ed, because if you set up an iPad or tell parents that they have to take selfies on their phone, you get some really amazing photos of kids who just ham it up, and then the parents who are just trying to get the right angle so they don't have quadruple chins. But just finding activities that bring everybody together, to move, but also to enjoy themselves. It's really, really big. And knock on wood, I've never had any major injuries from any tag games or any kind of things like that. So we always leave with smiles on our faces and high fives.
Some sweat trophies, I'm sure, from kids and their parents. So back to your point where we say start small. Schools might not allow parents to come in, or teachers might not be ready to take that plunge, and they need a baby step. So there is another resource on that we share as part of this week that you can find linked within the notes of this webinar or this podcast, however you're listening, which is the Active Family Challenge. So this includes some fitness challenges, some family fun challenges, some social challenges. So that could be something that literally you print out tomorrow morning and you send home that same day, and just encourage, very similar to the drop everything and move, just encourage families to move together. So it can be done by anyone and everyone, depending on what your situation is.
And the really nice thing, sorry to piggyback onto that, the really nice thing is I sent those home even though I was doing an in-person event, because not everybody can come. And so I sent those home in an email saying, hey, if you can't join us from virtually, or virtually join us, or however I phrased it, I can't remember. But I even had parents sending in photos of them doing things at night, or I sent it out on Sunday. So the same, very, very same day, they sent things back that evening saying, hey, I can't be there, but we're going to do it from home. And it was awesome.
Nice. So this kind of brings us to the end. So a 2-part question. First is, if people have additional questions, how can they get a hold of you? And the second is, do you have any last remarks to kind of close out this session? Christine, we'll turn it over to you.
I would say if you want to get in touch with me, you can email me. I can give you my DOE email would be the best way, and I can either put that in the chat, but it's cdrago3@schools.nyc.gov, or you could follow me on Twitter. It's Drago_930, and then you can message me on there and I'll get back to you. I would say the last thing is, we've talked about, start small, and you'll see how much of a difference it's going to make engaging families and getting them involved in what you're doing in your school building and in your PE class. And even though it may feel a little overwhelming, once you see the results of it, you're going to want to do a little bit more each time, and to see the joy that it brings both to parents' faces. They feel like they're living their childhood again coming into PE, but to see the students' faces, when their parents walk through the door and are participating in it, it makes it all worth it. So I would say definitely start small and get involved with parents. It's important.
Well,
yeah, williamhpotter@gmail.com is my Gmail, but if every other social media, even website, Mr. Will PE, at Mr. Will PE, mrwillpe.com, that'll pretty much get you to me. And then I think my last piece of advice, or my takeaway statement, would be, believe in yourself. You're your best and most informed professional when it comes to what you do and how you do it. And all you have to do is take that knowledge that you have of yourself and your school community and just share it out there, and let people know how great your program is and how wonderful the things you do are, because it doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter what Christine does. It's what you do that matters for your community and for the people that you support and you work with. So, believe in yourself and believe in what you do, because if you don't, then nobody else will.
Well, thank you both. I will definitely include the emails and social media handles within the notes. And I just want to thank you both for giving up some of your very precious time, because I know you're both very busy, and this topic is very important. So I totally appreciate the time sharing your insight and perspective on family engagement.